secret, but it's good to get your take on it. Well, some of it's secret, but the fact that they're preparing the military not to just, quote, fight imaginary terrorists domestically, but for crowd control, checkpoints, gun confiscation. You saw what happened in Katrina. I should ask the military this as well. For active duty, MPs or police right now, will you confiscate guns in order to do so? Because let me tell you, the system is data mining, testing, and if they ever think you'll go ahead with it, they're going to try it. And if they ever think the American people will go along with it, they're going to do it. Even at the expense of a civil war, if the globalists think they can make it and have it work, they will do it. That is the nature of these people. Toll-free number to join us, 877-789-ALEX, 877-789-2539. Been doing this Sunday show for like 5 years. And still haven't memorized that number. Well, we've only had that particular number about a year, so I guess that's why I haven't memorized it. Because we only use it on Sunday. Weekdays, we have the network number and go and work with the network phone system. We've just kind of partially moved over to doing everything out of our own studio and never fully gone away from using Genesis for the phone calls. Really, because I like John Harmon so much, the guy that board ops and kind of produces the show from that end, along with our producers down here. Been working with him for a lot of years and just enjoy hearing his voice every day. But that's where the satellite uplinks are as well. Folks at Genesis are great people, gcnlive.com. I noticed that online, the different videos of press conferences with Janet Napolitano and others admitting that they were running Fast and Furious 2 years ago before people found out it was giving guns to criminals. Those videos are disappearing, by the way. So we did a news report like a year ago, another one 6 months ago with those clips. We originally are the ones that, well, listeners pointed it out to us, and we did news reports on it. That's why you're so important out there, your tips. I know sometimes we don't follow up on them because we can't, but still keep sending them because a lot of them we do get to. It is like trying to drink out of a fire hose, though. Turned on full, it's more info than you can drink down. Of course, there's the reverse of that analogy. It's like trying to drink up Lake Superior with those little pixie straws that you use to stir your coffee. Can barely even suck any water up or coffee up in it. So we're going to go to break and come back with your calls. And then coming up, Turkey will consult NATO over shooting down a plane by Syria. And I need to call my writers, this broke on Friday, and point out, because I haven't seen anybody point this out. Do you remember Tony Blair and Bush met? And this got declassified a few years ago. Well, it got leaked, and they admitted it was real. Wanted to arrest who leaked it. And they said, why don't we just fly jets a whole bunch real low over Saddam's airspace and try to get him to shoot it down as a pretext to invade in 2003. And then they also have talked about doing it to other countries. And so that's clearly what's been going on, is that NATO just keeps, and they've admitted they want Turkey to be the head of the spear on this, tip of the spear, going in there. And having them fly through the airspace over and over and over again until somebody pulls the trigger. And even if they don't pull the trigger, it's okay, because when they finally bombard the country, which NATO's been calling for, a bombing campaign of NATO, by NATO against Syria, they're saying that they're going to bomb them, but then, oh, Syria's evil because the plane flew into their airspace, but then turned out of the airspace and got shot down. And so now Turkey's saying, we're going to do something, that's it. You shot down our plane. Total provocations. And again, I'm no fan of Assad. I'm not a fan of government. Most government's totally criminal run. But Assad is good compared to al-Qaeda. And the West is using al-Qaeda, jihadis in al-Qaeda uniforms with al-Qaeda flags, it's on the news, to take over Libya, now take over Syria. They used them to attack the Serbs when the Serbs fought back. They had NATO and the UN blow the daylights out of that country. I mean, it's incredible. And the American people are so ignorant, they don't know al-Qaeda works for NATO publicly. I mean, this is insane. Sick of Okay, we are back live into hour number 2 on this live Sunday worldwide transmission. Thank you for joining us on the 24th. I'm going to go to your phone calls right now, and then I'm going to get into EU should undermine national sovereignty. That's BBC News. That's the plan. That's why they want to get rid of nationalism. or any type of culture. They say that, get rid of any culture. They want a plastic, globalist, corporate culture. And of course, we've known this forever about the UN and the globalists, but now they're just out in the open. We'll be going over all of that. And then the big news, bird flu virus is just 3 mutations away from making the leap into a deadly human pandemic. Why is that bad? It kills over 90% of those. It's a super weapon, a level 4. Level 4 means weaponized, already very lethal system. Weaponized Ebola, weaponized flu, weaponized mousepox for humans. And to give you an example, GM grass linked to Texas cattle deaths. Federal government says it is off-gassing cyanide outside Austin, Texas. KI, here locally, broke the story. It's now a national news story. I mean, I'm sending reporters out tomorrow. We've got such a skeleton crew up here. It's why we're trying to hire some new reporters. By the way, I'm going to tell people who's won the reporter contest on Thursday. 1 male, 1 female reporter. Look for that at Infowars.com. Okay, enough from me. If you just joined us, I played a report out of St. Louis from KSDK. And they're like, yes, the Army's driving hundreds of armored vehicles all over the neighborhood. They need to learn how to drive on roads, as if they don't have giant military bases everywhere, including right up there in that area. We're talking hundreds of square miles in some cases. Fort Hood's as big as 5 Dallases or more. I mean, it's just more like 5 metroplexes last time I mean, it's just huge. But they got bases everywhere. We need to drive up and down your street. Meanwhile, it's just acclamation, folks. It's admitted that the military is training to take on the American people. And we've not screened your calls other than asking, do you want to talk about this if you're police or military? Because even though it's in the Army Times, they admit this is happening, by the time it gets on the local news, they're like, conspiracy theorists think the hundreds of vehicles are driving around to get people ready for martial law. And then it cuts to the military. Do not look at us and you know, you can look, but don't get too close, and we're not going to tell you where we're parking them. So we're going to go to Andrew, Jim, Robin, and others that are holding. If you're a whistleblower, 877-789-2539. It's not even whistleblowing. If you have a comment on this, if you've been involved in the training, your overall view on it. Andrew in California, you're police or military?
Yeah, police, Alex.
Well, give us your take on it, sir.
Well, you're not going to believe this, but let me tell you a little something. Anyways, I only live a few minutes from the border from Mexico, so I literally live in the police state as we speak. I've seen the newscasts in Mexico with the grenades on the tables. You know, any direction I go, leaving the county, I can't leave. I go through a checkpoint, armed checkpoint. But let me give you the latest intel, what's going on. It looks like Department of Homeland Security are flying what seems to be Mexican nationals to the border areas on, looks like private aircraft or 737 aircraft. And, you know, I've talked to some of the guys, and they've talked to the pilots, and they said they're moving as many as 2,000 a day. So,
all right, well, let me stop you. I talked about this 5 years ago from Texas sheriffs I had on, and since then it's actually been in California, Arizona, and Texas papers that, yes, Mexican aircraft are allowed in U.S. airspace. In fact, guys, type that in, Mexican aircraft, Mexican Army and Navy aircraft. Just say Mexican military aircraft now allowed to operate inside U.S. You'll get CBS, Associated Press, but it's not a big issue. It's kind of like hidden in plain view. And yes, I talked to a Marine officer, I'll just leave it at that, 2 weeks ago, who said, Alex, I can't tell you because the details are classified. He said, well, he said what you just said. Tell us about the thousands of Mexican troops inside the U.S.
No, it's not exactly that, Alex. And I'm sorry if I misrepresented myself, but it's contracted civilian aircraft moving Mexican nationals, what I believe, out of detention facilities all across the United States down to the border areas to be moved down into Mexico. So no,
I knew about that. That's on record, too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so what I'm fairly assuming, sir, is that these holding facilities, they're opening up. These beds are opening up, and as you know and I know, these jails aren't built to be empty. So,
well, no. Again, you're absolutely on target. Remember what came out in the... Have you ever seen the Iran-Contra hearings? They're online.
Oh, yes, sir. I've seen everything you've made here. So.
Well, I mean, it's not just... But I'm saying for everybody can just look up the raw footage. It's at PBS.org. It's also on YouTube. It's also on C-SPAN. You can watch hundreds of hours. But it's Oliver North testimony and Admiral Poindexter, Henry B. Gonzalez, and Jack Brooks, both of Texas, both congressmen, say to them, tell us about Rex 84 and the plan to put first immigrants as a cover in the secret camps and then citizens. And they go, we can't talk about it national security. But the point is that's exactly how they plan to sell it. And you're right. They're activating these facilities everywhere and priming them and training the camp guards on the illegals. Go ahead.
Yeah, so anyway, so I just wanted to let you know that, and these jets are coming in every day. Like I said, they've talked to the pilots. They said they're moving as many as 2,000 people out of these facilities every single day now. So that means that they're probably opening them up now at quite a pace.
They've got a giant one down by Corpus Christi. In fact, when you're driving down 37 towards Corpus Christi, look out to your left. You'll see these giant sports stadium. Richard Reeves went down there with me a few months ago. Well, then there's also another one down on South Padre as well. And he's like, I think that's a prison. I think that's a prison. Well, he went over there. We talked to locals and then later just found out there's a whole archipelago along the coast of these. Thank you so much for the call and the information, sir. Be safe out there. Jim in Missouri, police or military, Jim?
Yes, Alex, if you can hear me, my name is Jim from St. Louis. I'm a police officer. I have a pretty unique voice, so I'm trying to hide it, so I hope I'm coming in clear. I saw the KSDK footage, but I have some more news to tell you. We have been told that in October we need to be prepared for an event. I don't know much, but I just know it's supposed to be an event that will require us to use air and ground support in conjunction with the local military here. We've been practicing pretty much safeguarding pretty more affluent areas in St. Louis, Missouri.
You sound, let me stop you. I'm going to hold you over. You sound pretty freaked out, sir.
Alex, I've been a listener for yours for a while, but it's basically been coming down the pike pretty rapidly the last couple months. And basically, I can't really say too much. Like I said, I think they'll hear my voice. I have a very unique voice, but the military's basically been running drills with us, Alex, for about a month and a half now. And I think I don't know what's going to be the event in October, Alex, but if they ask me to confiscate guns, I don't know what's going to happen because a lot of people in my department, they're asleep, Alex. They hate Obama. They're still in the left-right paradigm, and it's scary, Alex.
Do they have any idea how dangerous it's going to be to try to take guns?
Alex, I know. Trust me, this is Missouri, and there's some good old boys up here, but these good old boys are, they think Obama's a Muslim terrorist, and they don't understand people are bought and paid for. I try to explain it to people when I do even regular...
Well, let me not interrupt you. Just go back to what you just said. You said they're being told in October, be prepared to use air and ground army forces against the American people. And
when they say air support, I don't understand what that means. I don't know if that means they're going to just openly have drones flying or what, but I don't know what kind of support...
No, that's it. That's why the Secretary of the Army is in the news saying airstrikes.
I can't believe that Channel 5 is actually putting this on. Can you please upload that video on YouTube or Infowars.com so we can see this?
Well, listen, here's the deal, sir. Here's the problem. They take it down whenever we post it. Normally, they would leave something like that up. They don't want this being seen. This wasn't supposed to get on the news. Did you see how freaked out the Army commander was?
Alex, you don't have to explain it to me. I know, but real quick, Alex, I'll hold up.
No, stay there. But don't get. I understand you're trying to disguise your voice, but it's all right. This is America. We're allowed to say we don't want the Army attacking us. Listen, we could back this off if we get the news out about it ahead of time. Imagine if they were planting a false flag in Missouri. Now they're not going to be able to do that now because of us talking about this. We've got a big, long line of police and military that want to get on air, so I'm going to have to shut up and go to their calls. We're about to go back to Jim in Missouri, but since I mentioned this earlier, guys, put it on screen, the article about the Mexican troops cleared to operate inside the U.S. out of the Houston Chronicle. I want to show people that because folks aren't going to believe that.